My dear students, good morning all of you. Today topic is parallelogram law of vector addition. In the previous class, we discussed about the addition of vectors. When the vectors are collinear, that means which are lie on the same line or parallel or anti-parallel, then they can be added by a simple algebraic method. Whereas, if they are unlike vectors, then the vectors can be added by triangle law of vector addition. As in the previous class we discussed. So, if the vectors are unlike vectors, then they can be added using triangle law of vector addition. Now, suppose if they are co-initial vectors, suppose this is one vector and this is another vector. This is A bar, let us say this is B bar. That means here what happened? Both are having the same initial point. That means these vectors are not isolated vectors. Their initial position is already fixed. And now we know that when the tails of the two vectors are coincide, we cannot add these two vectors. Then how? How to add these two vectors? So, whenever you are given two co-initial vectors, because you cannot move this vector. If it is an isolated vector, then only it can be moved to any position in the space without changing its magnitude and direction. But these initial point of these two are fixed, so it cannot be moved. And tails are coincident, so you cannot add. Then there is only one option. Take equal vectors on either sides of this, like this. Suppose if B bar, a same vector is taken this side and another one is taken this side. Thereby what happened? It is forming a parallelogram. If you observe this, A bar and B bar are taken as the two sides of the triangle, then this becomes the initial point and this becomes the final point. So the resultant vector must be in this direction. And as for the triangle of vector addition, if A bar and B bar are the two vectors represented both in magnitude and direction by the two sides of a triangle, then the resultant vector can be obtained along the third side of the triangle. But here this third side will become the diagonal of the parallelogram. Therefore, the resultant vector C bar or otherwise R bar can be written as A bar plus B bar, or otherwise sometimes it is given as R bar. So, if the vectors are co-initial, that means the initial point is already fixed, then if you are going to add such two vectors, we have to apply parallelogram law of vector addition. So, now we have to learn the other one is parallelogram law of vector addition. What is this parallelogram law of vector addition? From that, it is clear that if two vectors are represented both in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, starting from the same initial point, then the resultant vector can be represented both in magnitude and direction by the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same initial point. That is the statement. Here, when two vectors are represented both in magnitude and direction, when two vectors are represented both in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides, by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, then the resultant vector can be represented both in magnitude and direction when two vectors are represented both in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, starting from same point, then the resultant vector can be represented both in magnitude and direction by the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same initial point. Passing through the same initial point. This is a very important one. So, when two vectors are represented both in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, starting from the same point, then the resultant vector can be represented both in magnitude and direction by the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same initial point. Got it? So when two vectors are represented both in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram passing through the same initial point, then the resultant vector can be represented both in magnitude and direction by the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same initial point. If this is B bar, this is B bar. If this is A bar, this is A bar. So you got the result. But still, here also, ultimately we are using triangular vector addition only because when you take equal vector on either sides, again this forming a triangle and these two are taken in the same order. So if you say a given physical quantity is a vector, it must have both the magnitude and direction and also obey the triangle of vector addition. And after that, once you got the idea of this, how to calculate the magnitude and the direction of the resultant vector. Now side heading is expression for magnitude and direction of resultant vector. Expression for magnitude and direction of resultant vector. Then how to solve this? It's very simple. First of all, let us say OA and OB. This is OA and this is OB are the two vectors and the same initial point O. Let OA bar is P bar and let us say this is Q bar. When these two vectors are like this one, then construct a parallelogram OABC. This is the parallelogram. Now draw a perpendicular this is perpendicular OD onto C. This is what we have to consider. Now what you can observe is here OA bar is equal to P bar and OB bar is equal to Q bar are the two vectors represented both in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram starting from the point O. If this forming a triangle, then R bar can be written as P bar plus Q bar because this is Q bar, this is Q bar and this is P bar. So to arrive this, so direction is known, but what is the magnitude? Suppose if these two are inclined at an angle theta, the angle made by this resultant vector with the first vector gives the direction of this vector. So how to get the direction and magnitude of this resultant vector? First what we have to assume is let OP bar is equals to P, let OA bar is equals to P bar and OB bar is equal to Q bar are the two vectors inclined at an angle theta. Let OA bar is equals to P bar and OB bar is equal to Q bar are two vectors inclined at an angle theta. Now construct a parallelogram OABC with OA bar and OB bar as the adjacent sides. Now with OA bar and OB bar as adjacent sides, we constructed a parallelogram OABC. Now draw a perpendicular CD onto OD. This is the perpendicular CD onto OD. And here, if this is theta, this must also be theta. But you are going to find out the resultant. Now, if you can observe this, there are two right angle triangles. One is OCD is a right angle triangle and ACD is another right angle triangle. Now, first of all, if you observe the magnitudes, OA bar is equals to BC bar is equals to P and OB bar is equals to magnitude of OB bar, magnitude of AC bar is equal to Q. OB bar, AC bar, Q. OA bar, BC bar, P. And OC bar magnitude is nothing but magnitude of R bar, which is nothing but magnitude of P bar plus Q bar. This is what we have to consider. Now, once you got the idea of this, we have two right angle triangles OCD and ACD. Now, what you have to do is here, from triangle OCD, from this triangle OCD, what you are going to get? OC square is equals to, according to Pythagoras, OC square is equal to CD square plus OD square. CD square plus OD square. But what is OD? OD is nothing but OA plus AD. OD can be written as OA plus AD. Therefore, OC square is equals to CD square plus OA plus AD whole square. Then OC square is equals to CD square plus OA square plus AD square plus 2OA AD. That is equation number 1. Now, from triangle ACD, if you observe this triangle ACD, AC square is equals to CD square plus AD square. That is equation number 2. And what is sine theta? From this figure, sine theta is nothing but opposite side by hypotenuse. Sine theta is equals to CD by AC, which implies CD is equals to AC sine theta. And cos theta is given by how much? AD by AC. Cos theta is equals to AD by AC, which implies AD by AC means from this diagram, cos theta is nothing but AD by AC. So we erase this one till this point, then what you can observe is here, cos theta is given by AD by AC, which implies AD is equal to AC cos theta. That is equation number 4. If you observe this, CD square plus AD square is AC square. Here CD square and here is AD square. In that place, can we write AC square? Therefore, substitute equation 2 and equation 4, because AD is AC cos theta in that. In equation 1. Then what happened? OC square is equals to OA square plus CD square plus AD square can be written as AC square plus 2OA into AC into cos theta. But what is OC square? It is nothing but R square is equal to P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. We calculate the magnitudes of this. Therefore, magnitude of resultant vector is given by R is equals to magnitude of P bar plus Q bar is equals to root over P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. This is the very, very important derivation that we require. That is the resultant vector for the given. Once you got the idea of this, then what about the direction? So this is a simple. Using Pythagoras theorem, we are able to find out. And now, then come to the other one, direction. Direction of resultant vector. Direction of resultant vector means it is simply nothing but the angle made by the resultant vector. The angle made by the resultant vector with any vector gives direction. Gives the direction of resultant vector. Therefore here let the angle made by the resultant vector with the vector p bar is alpha, which represents the direction. Therefore alpha is the resultant direction. Therefore we had from triangle OCD, tan alpha is given by CD by OD. But what is CD? It is CD by OD is given by OA plus AD. From the diagram we got it. Therefore, from equation 3, this is Q sin theta, OA is P plus AD can be written as AC cos theta. That is Q cos theta. Therefore, alpha is given by tan inverse Q sin theta by P plus Q cos theta. This is the direction of the resultant vector. This is what you are going to get. And then, once you got the idea of this is the magnitude of the resultant vector and this is the direction of the resultant vector. Once you got this one, you may be given some important points related to this. The case 1, there are different cases here. Case 1, if theta is equals to 0 degrees. If theta is 0 degrees, then the resultant is maximum. Because r is equal to root of p square plus q square plus 2pq cos 0, 1. So 2pq means p plus q whole square. And therefore, r is equals to p square plus q square plus 2pq cos 0. Root of p square plus q square plus 2p cos 0 is 1. Therefore, it is root of p plus q whole square, which is p plus q. Therefore, magnitude of the resultant vector is maximum when theta is 0 degrees. And direction alpha is equals to tan inverse q sin 0 by p plus q cos 0. Therefore, tan inverse 0, it is 0. That means alpha is 0. That means both must lie along the same line. The two vectors must lie along the same line. Then only that will be taken. This is P, this is Q. Then the resultant is R is equal to P plus Q. If both are lie along the same line. If theta is 0 degrees means both are lie along the same line or parallel. Suppose this is case 1 and case 2. That second case is, what you can write is, if theta is equals to 90 degrees, then the resultant is R is equal to root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos 90. But cos 90 value is 0. Because of that, P square plus Q square plus 0. Since cos 90 is equals to 0. Therefore, R is equals to root of P square plus Q square if the two vectors are perpendicular. Suppose this is one vector P, this is another vector Q, these two are inclined at an angle 90 degrees, then the resultant must be like this only, which is R, that is given. And this alpha, if you have taken direction, alpha is equals to tan inverse Q by P. This is applicable when theta is 90 degrees. And case 3, if theta is 180 degrees, then the resultant is minimum. That means if the two vectors are opposite in direction, that means here R can be written as root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos 180 degrees. Root over P square plus Q square minus 2PQ. That implies root of P minus Q whole square. That is P minus Q. Since cos 180 is equals to minus 1. Therefore, R is equals to P minus Q when theta is P is greater than Q. Suppose if Q is greater than P, we have to write Q minus P. And direction alpha is equals to 0. That means the direction is always, suppose if this is a vector P and this is a vector Q, the resultant must always be P minus Q. That means the direction of the resultant vector is in the direction of larger vector. So the point that we should remember, the direction of resultant vector is always in the direction of larger vector. Is it clear? So, what you have to write is here, note point, the direction of resultant vector is always in the direction of larger vector. The direction of resultant vector is always in the direction of larger vector. These are the points we have. Based on that, you may be given a question like this. That is knowledge. Two vectors are inclined. Two vectors, let us say P bar and Q bar are inclined at an angle. If the resultant vector makes an angle alpha with P bar and makes an angle beta with Q bar, then which relation is correct? You may be given that it is like this. If first one, if P greater than Q, then alpha less than beta. Second one, if P greater than Q, then alpha greater than beta. Then which one is correct? Very simple. What you can observe is, if or otherwise, third one, if Q is greater than P, then alpha is less than beta, and if Q greater than P, then alpha is greater than beta. Which one is correct? First fundamental point for this problem, if you can see that, if you see, this is the vector P bar and this is the vector Q bar, and here if you consider like this is the resultant vector. So P bar and Q bar are inclined at an angle theta, that's what you are given. But what you mentioned, that P bar makes an angle alpha with the P bar and beta with the Q bar. Then what happened? According to the previous note, if the resultant vector is always in the direction of larger vector. Suppose in that case, if P bar is greater than Q bar, or P is greater than Q, magnitudes we are taking. If P greater than Q, suppose magnitudes, if P greater than Q means the resultant must always be directed or shift towards this, then alpha is lesser than beta. Suppose if Q is greater than P, if Q is greater than P, automatically what happened? Then alpha is greater than beta. This is what you are going to get. So, if P greater than Q, if P is greater than Q, this resultant moves downwards. So, alpha is lesser than beta. If Q greater than P, then beta is less than alpha, or alpha is greater than beta. So, right answer is this and also this. Got it? Like that we have to do. That is very important point here regarding this. There are so many types of concepts and skill questions that may come. Here is another concept that what you can give is two vectors. Two vectors are inclined, two vectors P bar and Q bar are inclined at a certain angle. If the resultant vector is at right angles, if the resultant vector is at right angles to the vector P bar, if the resultant vector is at right angles to the vector P bar, then find the angle between two vectors. This is another important question we have. That means here what to do? Suppose this is a one vector you are given. This is a vector P bar and let us say this is a vector Q bar. Thereby the resultant vector is at, this is R bar. This resultant vector is at right angles, means making an angle of 90 degrees. Then you are asked to calculate the angle between these two vectors. That means the resultant of P bar and Q bar is R bar, which makes an angle alpha with this, means it gives the direction only. Therefore, direction, we know that tan alpha is equal to Q sin theta by P plus Q cos theta. Therefore, cot alpha is equals to 1 by tan alpha is equals to Q sin theta, P plus Q sin theta by Q. Since alpha is 90, therefore tan 9 cot 90 is 0. Cot 90 is equal to P plus Q cos theta by Q sin theta. This should be 0 because cos 90 is 0. Cos 90 means, cot 90 means cos 90 by sin 1, 0 by something is 0. Therefore, P plus Q cos theta is equals to 0. Therefore, Q cos theta is minus P, which implies cos theta is minus P by Q. This is another important relation. And once you got it, then theta is cos inverse P by Q. So, if you know the two forces, straight away you can calculate angle between the two vectors. That means, for example, this is a concept you are given. For any given numerical values of P and Q, you can easily calculate the angle between the two vectors. And generally it's obtuse. Suppose you are given like this. That is problem based on the same concept. Two vectors, 4 Newton and 8 Newton. Two vectors, 4 Newton and 8 Newton, are inclined at a certain angle. If the resultant vector makes an angle, is at right angles, to the vector 4 Newton, if the resultant vector is at right angles to the vector 4 Newton, then find angle between the two vectors. Then find the angle between the two vectors for any given numerical value. Suppose this is P are given, this is Q. For our convenience, this is R. The magnitude of this is 4 newtons you are given, and for this you are given it is 8 newton. Then what you are going to get? Cos theta is equals to minus P by Q. Therefore, here cos theta can be written as minus P by Q. Here minus 4 by 8, 4 2's minus 1 by 2. So theta becomes 120 degrees. In a very less time, you may be able to answer this question. This is what you are going to get. So, if the resultant vector makes an angle of, is at right angle to the vector 4 Newton, then the angle between the two vectors is always given by 120. Suppose you are given, or like that you may be given any numerical values. If the resultant vector makes an angle, is at right angles to the vector of smaller. This is about the concept related to this. And one more thing here, the magnitude. Another note point here, the magnitude of resultant vector. The magnitude of the resultant vector always lies in between the maximum and minimum values. That is, the resultant always greater than or equals to or minimum and less than or equals to or maximum. That means it never be greater than the maximum and never be less than the minimum. This is the point related with the parallelogram law of vector addition. So in case of parallelogram law of vector addition, this is applicable only when they are co-initial vectors. When they are unlike, we have to apply triangle law. When they are collinear, we have to apply simple algebraic method. Got it? This is about the parallelogram law of vector. Tomorrow we will discuss some other skill questions based on this resultants, and also another one that we left is polygon law of vector addition. So in the next class we will discuss about those points. Okay? Thank you one and all. Stay home and stay safe. Thank you.